How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Diabetes Survival Guide show. Today, I am joined by the phenomenal, the lovely Jill from Whole Bean Wellness. So, not only has Jill went through the same situations as I have of, oh, I need to go on a carbohydrate detox. And then after the detox program was over, sure, we felt great for the short term, but then afterwards, we still had that struggle of, ooh, but I really want to have this treat that does have a lot of carbohydrates, but I think there might be a better solution where I can have that and also practice other healthy habits so that I can incorporate that into my life and getting rid of the negative mindset behind I can't have this food, I can't have that food, and being very black and white about it. And another chord that really struck home to me that Jill has talked about in her story, it's that her son was involved with a severe car accident, and my mom, she was actually involved with a severe car accident as well. And that struck a lot of chords to me because when my mom went through those struggles and challenges, I struggled a lot with how to cope with those feelings and emotions that the comfort that I sought out was eating a lot of different foods and overeating at times as well, because it was just so hard to cope with the different stressors that are going on with my life. And it just led me to a path of feeling emotionally drained, feeling very frustrated. And it got to the point where I felt horrible about myself and wanted to make some changes because of those stressful situations. And Jill has done a phenomenal job in using that as a learning moment to figure out, okay, I've had a stressful moment in my life. Now, how can I flip the switch so that I can improve my health again, so I can take care of my body, so that I can take care of my kids, and then be the person who can help other people make the positive changes into their life. And without further ado, I'd love to say, Jill, welcome to the podcast and feel free to share the other things that I haven't touched on. And I know my audience members would love to hear more about your journey and what inspired you to get into the anti-diet and the health and lifestyle space.
Thanks, Patrick. I'm happy to be here. Happy to talk to you. And I love
Mhm.
talking with people that share similar stories, but also the same kind of vision of it's about healthy, balanced, consistent eating and not restriction. And it's just learning how to incorporate those foods into our diet. Yeah, oftentimes people have a stressful event and they may not know at the time, but that has a significant impact on our health and our emotional well-being, obviously. So in my situation, I was feeling a lot of physical pain, headaches, depression, digestive issues, because if you're stressed, you're not digesting. So it started snowballing and it was like similar. I wanted to help myself, right? I was seeing somebody that would constantly say I had yeast or Lyme or Epstein-Barr virus. And it's just like I was constantly getting supplements. And I was like, they never addressed the root causes, right? They never looked at my diet. They never looked at my lifestyle and my emotional well-being. So I actually ran across a lady on Instagram. She goes by the name of Food Babe. I don't know if you've heard about her, but she is a food advocate advocating food corporations to remove toxic ingredients and educating the public on what these toxic ingredients do. And that was my very first eye-opening experience that the food I ate had a direct result on the way that I was feeling. I became a nutritional therapy practitioner to heal myself, to help myself. And what we learn is sugar is the enemy, right? It's the root cause of all this stuff. So I started doing sugar detoxes. And that's how I started my program is monthly. I was running these sugar detoxes and it was amazing how good you feel when you remove all that stuff, all processed foods. And we were removing carbs and everything. But the problem is it became harder and harder to do for myself. And what I saw with my participants, they were falling off right after the program was over and going back to their old habits. So for me, what this ended up doing is creating this dysfunctional relationship with food. I started seeing things as off limits or bad, right? And it was just, honestly, it was very tormenting to say, today I'm going to eat healthy and then end up in the pantry like shoving chocolate in my mouth. And it's every day repeating that. And so I really had to put things together for me. And it's about addressing the thoughts, feelings, and habits and patterns that keep us stuck, right? But also finding that balance and consistency. And a lot of times when people are like stuck in this dieting cycle, diet culture, it's very hard to get out of that mindset of I need to be strict, I need to lose weight quick, or I just need to do that, get healthy. So that's where it all tied in with anti-diet, health, and weight loss.
I loved hearing
Stories are
that.
big.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's huge, especially since you talked about the challenges that not only you have faced, but also the clients that have struggled with it too, where going through
Mhm.
that detox program, but then falling off and then having the mindset of, okay, everything went to crap and
I failed.
I
I can't do
failed. I can't do
this.
exactly. Yes. And it's
Hmm.
the struggles of I felt like a failure, and then they're trying to build themselves back up to, okay, the next day I'm going to eliminate everything and have this black and white
Hmm.
approach. And then once they fall off of it again, it goes back to that yo pattern where it's extreme ends of overly healthy,
Yeah.
but then if I failed, might as well let myself go for
Go all out.
everything down the chain. And it just happens to this
Hmm.
unhealthy cycle of this back and forth conversation. Oh,
And what people don't realize is just how much of an impact that has on our metabolism, because you're
hmm
giving the signal to your body like, hey, go without, figure out how to function with less. And so what happens? It slows down your metabolism to do that. And then
hmm
you suddenly flood it with all this food, and then it stores all that away as fat. So
hmm
it's a vicious cycle, really, the diet culture is.
And I also love the fact that you highlighted when we're stressed, we're not digesting well. And
Hmm.
as you mentioned too, the metabolism, that's also in a starvation mindset where if something does come in, then it's tricked of I'm not sure when I'm gonna get my next dose of food where I can actually enjoy it emotionally. So I'm just gonna store these things as fat so I can try and protect myself instead of a no, let's actually allow these nutrients to come in so that my body can be fed and it can be a lot more on whole instead of this
Hmm.
stressful cycle of this up and down unpredictability.
Hmm. Yep, yeah, definitely the stress cortisol is a fat storage hormone, so it's going to be storing away that stuff for later, which is why people that are very highly stressed have a hard time losing weight.
hmm
Yeah.
It's also for those people who are curious, how does this relate to diabetes and everything? Because isn't this channel supposed to be about diabetes? I will say the root cause of type 2 diabetes is insulin resistance and having the buildup of fat cells in our muscles, around our organs, and other things. If we have too much of that, that would actually increase the insulin resistance and perpetuate the cycle of
Mhm.
prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or the development of type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. And the root cause in that situation, it could be due to the emotional aspect, like how's our relationship with food? Because if we're able to address that and have a better relationship, all of a sudden things can start improving and getting better.
Hmm. Yeah, and if you're looking at improving your health, if you have diabetes, and there's this sense of with my health, it was like, I've got to do something, I've got to do something now, I want to feel better. And so there's that extreme that you do, and it's learning that balance, learning that consistency that I find is really important.
So, what would you say are some simple tips that people can do today to improve their consistency in improving their health?
It is about really meeting someone where they are and making small upgrades. So, for example, I had a client that loved her blueberry muffin in the morning, and it was
hmm
just like a type of Costco blueberry muffin. So, when she started working with me, I was like, we're not going to give that up. We're going to do some other things first, which was, can we add some fat to that? Can we work on your sleep so that you're not waking up so tired and needing that sugar in the morning? So sometimes it's the other things, right? The diet, the lifestyle, the mindset, and then small things. I'm really a proponent in adding things to the diet rather than taking things away. That would be a big tip. It's just going slow and steady.
And really looking at the person, what their current situation is, and making it personalized so that people know,
Mhm.
okay, if I really love that blueberry muffin, which the Costco blueberry muffins, I ate that as a kid as well. So many positive memories. So it's hard for me to also give that up. So I can
Mhm.
totally empathize with that situation of what can we do to add other positive habits to it at a small pace so that they can enjoy that blueberry muffin, improve waking up and not having an intense sugar craving, and just being able to have a good time, right?
Yep. But here's the thing, which people who love their blueberry muffin right now in the morning might not want to hear, is she got to the point where she couldn't imagine that she was eating blueberry muffins and toast and orange juice in the morning, and she was eating eggs and vegetables, and that's what she was loving. So, like making healthy eating something you truly desire
Mm-hmm.
instead of something you should do. That's what makes it more sustainable.
Mm-hmm. And it's crazy too for even the clients that I've worked with where they said, I can never imagine myself giving up a really sweet treat on a daily basis that they've had to now
Mhm.
3 months later, after they've been incorporating all those small habits and that consistency, similar to your clients, they change their trajectory of what they even have for breakfast, where it's something higher in protein, and then they have a little bit of the carbs, more of a whole wheat version of that carb compared to a simpler version of that carb, and gradually maintaining their new identity as someone who practices
Mhm.
healthy habits.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's crazy. Hey everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. And before we continue with the rest of this show, I wanted to let y'all know please feel free to give this podcast a 5-star rating if you like it, share it with other folks that you think could be beneficial for. And if you haven't already, feel free to subscribe and follow to the Diabetes Management Group for awesome tips to manage your type 2 diabetes or prediabetes. And let's get back to the show. So, Jill, the next question that I want to ask you is what has been your best success story with a client?
Okay. So for me, what I love is helping people with that emotional eating, that binge eating and the body issues, right? Because that gives you so much freedom and so much joy. And I get to see a person really transform. And I love that connection that I get with my clients when I'm working on that. But what people want to hear is that concrete stuff that you can actually see. I'm a big proponent of throwing away the scale and focusing on health. At the beginning of my journey, I wasn't, although I was incorporating some of the stuff, I hadn't yet been telling my clients to throw their scale away. One of my older clients, she had lost like 20 pounds while working with me. Clients will have their blood work done, especially this client was struggling with kidney issues. She had a lot of joint pain, just a lack of motivation, a lack of energy. So we were able to bring like her ALT, AST from the 80s to the 20s, 30s during our time together. And then for her biggest takeaway, so even though you think like it would be the weight, it was really the health, the longevity, but it was the day-to-day things that helped her feel good, right? Having clearer thoughts, having motivation so that she was able to go out and get her walks in every day. Because when she first came to me, she had so much pain, like physical pain, that she couldn't exercise. And so reducing her pain first, instead of saying, let me try to figure out a way to get you to exercise. That's those small upgrades, right? Like she wasn't there yet. We had to reduce the inflammation. So consistently being able to walk 2 miles a day, she started going to a personal trainer, doing weightlifting. And yeah, so that was an older one, but yeah, that was a good one. Mhm.
I am getting so many chills right now, especially when you're talking about, yeah, they lost 20 pounds and their blood work also improved. But the main thing that the client loved was the health and longevity that they were able to achieve when working with you of the day-to-day is getting a lot better. And sure, it was a struggle at first, but now she is able to invest into a personal trainer and is able to walk 2 freaking miles a day. That is so
Mhm.
awesome. I love to hear
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the quality of life. It's the confidence. It's the freedom. It's the way that you feel about yourself and the way that you're able to show up. And yes, whether it starts with weight, whether it starts with diabetes, like whatever health issue it is, what gets you on this journey really gives you a sense of freedom.
hmm
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
everyone who's listening to this, watching this, and just hearing that message, like the feeling of freedom, isn't that enough to say, all right, I'm interested to see what I can do to feel free again or to increase the amount of freedom that I am feeling, right?
Mhm.
Such a great word. All
Yeah.
right.
Because
And
I mean,
then,
food really affects our mental and our emotional well-being, the anxiety and the depression, and just feeling bogged down.
mhm,
It's like to break free of that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is I like to see that in
mhm,
my clients. And it's really hard to paint the picture of that for
mhm.
people.
Especially
Yeah.
when their situations is all clouded up in this
Mhm.
spiral right over here. But once they're able to break through and break out of that, to realize, oh, I do have a lot more control than I thought I did. This freedom is
Mhm.
such a great feeling. All
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
And then Jill, another question I want to circle back for the people who are listening to this or watching this and don't quite understand what ALT and AST are, would you mind elaborating more on that for them?
They're blood markers for lab work you would get done for kidneys. So yeah, just a general, again, I don't necessarily do blood work, but she was seeing a specialist. And so she was like, my oncologist is going to be so happy with these numbers. And yeah. So for those that are struggling with their kidneys, but yeah.
Okay, awesome. ALT, AST, think kidneys, everyone.
Mhm.
All right. So Jill, what would you say has been the hardest lesson that you've learned since starting your own journey in improving your health? And what did you learn from that?
Oh, I'd say that perfection is an illusion. Like I used to think I was a failed perfectionist, and it's really about the consistency that's going to get you the results. And one thing I like to talk about is sometimes it's not necessarily what I'm doing. For example, when we talk about allowing people to enjoy the foods they love, if I'm enjoying the foods I love, but at the same time I'm beating myself up thinking that I shouldn't be having these foods or that I am bad for having these foods, it's that perfectionist mentality that I shouldn't be doing this, that I need to be perfect. And it's really about, like I said, it's the consistency over time.
Hmm. I love that word, that consistency to break through that illusion of the perfection.
Hmm.
And then
Yeah.
I want to ask a bit deeper. So, for other people who are experiencing this sense of that perfection mindset of, oh crap, I need to do X, Y, and Z things, despite knowing that they can enjoy the foods that they love, what are some things that you would share with them so that they can improve their consistency and actually feel good about it?
Okay. So let's say, for example, somebody that likes to eat rice or oats, and you might have a whole cup. Instead, reduce that. One term that you can use is don't ever eat your carbs naked as well. So reducing the carbs, but also making sure you're eating protein and healthy fats with your meals and with your snacks to balance your blood sugar levels is really important. So understanding like that, the glycemic index level and what foods are going to have higher and just balancing that. And then managing stress. I wore a continual glucose monitor before, and I could not believe the impact that stress had on my blood sugar levels. It was crazy. It was as if I had just eaten dessert. It was really crazy. And so when we're chronically stressed over an extended period of time, that really has an impact on our blood sugar.
Hmm.
So managing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Mhm.
Stress, everyone, as Jill talked about, too much stress, too much cortisol, body's not able to metabolize things appropriately. And for those who don't know, cortisol can also stimulate the liver so that it could release more glucose or sugars into our bloodstream with the goal of, hey, I need to try to get this to my muscles and my brain so that I could actually defend myself from whatever is stressing me out. But if that's prolonged
Mhm.
for so long, it's hard for the sugars to even get to the brain and to the muscles. And now our brain and our muscles are also starving for those sugars that since it's not getting there appropriately, it just causes this hectic cycle of what is going on here? I don't know what to do. So focusing on
Mhm.
how can we reduce that stress to improve our health. That's a huge thing.
Mhm. And the big piece of that is, of course, there's the things that you hear about meditation, yoga, different things, but it really is paying attention to our thoughts,
Hmm.
what we're thinking, and changing those because there's a circumstance and we could have a thought or belief around it, right?
Mhm.
But then there's also another set of beliefs that could also be true, because a belief is not truth. It's not the circumstance. It's not. So changing that to be something that serves you more to
Mhm.
reduce your stress.
It's like being able to understand how can I change my perspective of this situation.
Yeah.
Mm.
By changing our thoughts. Yeah.
Very insightful. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for sharing that.
Yeah.
All right. So, Jill, if you were to share one piece of advice to yourself when you first started your business, and another piece of advice to someone who's recently diagnosed with diabetes and struggles with an eating disorder or disordered eating with the negative thoughts, what would those pieces of advice be?
All right. So the first one, I think with business and with anything, it's not a sprint. It is really a marathon. So again, what we've been saying, it's the consistency over time and knowing that the big picture, what's the big picture and what can I do today? What's one small thing I can do today that will help me reach my goal? And one thing I like to help my clients with is we can often be so focused on the goal that's living in a state of lack, right? Because once I get to this goal, I'm going to have a new goal. So do I want to be always living in this state of I'm not good enough, I need to do this? That doesn't feel good. So it's really appreciating and loving what you today have done. What am I proud of myself for today? What good things have I done? What small little thing? And I don't care what it was, some small little upgrade, maybe one piece of pizza instead of half a pizza. So just those kind of things. And then
Mhm.
the other one was about that kind of tied into the emotional eating piece, really. So that was the second question. Yeah.
Answered it with just one answer. That's awesome.
Yeah. So,
Uh, I could have swore you been have you have been watching my prior podcast because I always end it with, all right, everyone, remember to try one small thing, even if it's just one extra step each day to improve your health, to improve that consistency, to obtain the goals that you desire and the person who you want to become.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
now I don't have to say it at the
I,
end. Go
well,
ahead.
because here's the thing, sometimes it's hard to hear this, but whether it's you're having severe digestive issues, diabetes, you're struggling with adrenal fatigue, oftentimes the solution is what we're talking about here for all of them. It's these small changes, it's balancing our blood sugar levels, making small upgrades, and just being consistent over time, managing our mind and our thoughts and our emotions. Yeah.
Mhm. And it's focusing on each of those processes that you've mentioned too, where if someone is able to have one slice of pizza instead of those two slices of pizza, treating that as a ridiculously huge win. Because
Mm-hmm.
that is a big win in my perspective, where it's able to not only help people get out of that all or nothing perfectionist mindset to having more of that grayscale of, okay, I am able to make a positive step forward. Even though it's small and minuscule, it still plays a huge role and that huge step in getting to the destination that people want to get to. Because, as you said before, definitely not a sprint. It's 100% a marathon. If we're able to keep our pace slow and steady, eventually getting there becomes so easy that people will blink in their eyes and realize, wow, I came so much farther than I thought I would just by making those small, sustainable habits.
Yep. Rather than a drastic, complete change in your life that's not sustainable. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I love food. And
hmm
I always love asking this question for people. What would you say is your ideal full course menu? We're on to the fun questions now.
Oh, okay. Full course.
Yeah.
I do love salad. So if salad was on the plate or beforehand, that's great. I love soup. I love food too. So this is a really
You
hard
could
question.
whatever you want, soup and salad.
Um,
That's in there.
okay, yeah. So yeah, soup or salad, that's great. And one thing I didn't say earlier, but if you can have some of the salad or vegetables, green vegetables before sugars. So I really like Japanese sweet potatoes. That's one of my
Oh,
favorite carbs to have.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's so good. But can I have the salad first or can I have the zucchini or start on the green beans? And then I usually like to eat my protein then with my carb. I really like burgers. Right now I'm eating smoked salmon. I really like that. I just love food. If I was going to have a dessert, I love chocolate. I love chocolate. Cheesecake too is really good.
Hmm.
So if I were, yeah.
All right. So with the salad, what type of salad would you have with that though?
I like, to be honest with you, ranch or Caesar.
Ranch.
Well, see, so I was on a ranch kick, but right now I'm really on a Caesar kick. So
Yeah.
yeah, those are my favorites. So
Ah, I
mhm.
love the ranch too, because if I ever have a side of breadsticks as well that comes with it, oh, I'm definitely dipping my breadstick in that ranch. It's a must, in
Yeah,
my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. Hmm.
All right. And then, ah, all right, now I'm craving Caesar salad now and a little bit of ranch dressing. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then for your soup, what type of soup do you enjoy?
The one that's coming to my mind is the one that we're making on repeat over here. And it's like a chicken pot pie soup. So it's really thick and
Mm,
creamy. And then it's just got the chicken, the celery, carrots, onions, and some peas. And I do it different ways. Sometimes I added sweet potatoes one time, the Japanese sweet
ah,
potatoes. I've done potatoes. Last night we did some little cauliflower dumplings that I had. So I just mix it up. But that's
mhm.
my favorite soup right now.
No, that sounds so delicious.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness. And then for chocolate, are you a dark chocolate, milk chocolate, white chocolate, or whatever sort of chocolate comes your way, you love it?
Less of the dark chocolate, more of the lighter, sweeter chocolates. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are
Hmm.
the delicious ones. I
Hmm.
prefer more the dark chocolate though.
Hmm.
But I do respect people who enjoy the milk chocolate and the other ones.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. And then if you were to have an ideal drink or beverage, what would you select for that?
The only things I really drink is water or coffee.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would just be water or coffee, probably. Yeah.
Solid drinks. Are you a black coffee type of person or do you add some stuff to it?
Black coffee.
Black
Hmm.
coffee. Ah, that's how you know someone is an awesome person is, oh, I just drink straight black coffee. They just drink it and nothing phases them.
I remember when people would drink decaf and I'm like, why would you drink decaf? I love coffee so much that now I'll drink decaf like more in the evening. It's just like a comfort. Just love it.
Oh, I'm in the same
It's
boat
black.
too. Like with my last clinical rotation, I asked the person, hey, can I get a decaf coffee? And my clinical instructor looked at me like I was crazy. It's like, why in the world are you getting decaf coffee? I'm like, I just don't need that much caffeine. So I just prefer the decaf coffee and it addresses the kick that I have.
Mm-hmm.
I can
I
totally
will
empathize with you
say,
there.
I do drink electrolyte water. I obviously drink water, but I like to add electrolytes in like once or twice a day, depending on how much I've done that day,
Mhm.
to just switch it up, have something to drink.
Oh yeah. And to also improve a bit more of that hydration as well. Because
Yeah.
without that balance for a little bit of electrolytes once in a while, the body just keeps on cycling out and we just end up going to the bathroom more versus, okay, how can I help this water actually get to the rest of my body? And those electrolytes
Mhm.
do help.
Yeah. And then again, I like to just put a little bit of minerals in my regular water just
Mhm.
because I'm like, it helps your cells absorb it. So it's not like just going through you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Love this topic.
Mhm.
All right. Another fun question. What would you say is your zombie apocalypse survival plan?
Um, I would say I would probably have to really rely on my husband
Yeah.
because he is like, he would know exactly what to do. I would just do whatever he told me to do. I can shoot pretty good, so I could be helping. But as far as like strategic, like what to do and the plan, I'd have to rely on him.
Yeah. What would your kiddos do in the zombie apocalypse? Do you feel like they're
I would
competent to do
hide her
something or
somewhere. Yeah,
okay.
hide him somewhere. Yeah, just stay safe. Yeah.
Don't do anything crazy, so okay?
Yeah, yeah. Let me just lock you in the basement or something. Yeah.
We'll let you know when the zombies are out, then we can get you out.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, goodness. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on this podcast, Jill. And I'm
Same.
sure the people who are watching this, listening to this, and really felt your message, they're wondering, how can we get in touch with Jill? She is such a down-to-earth person. She's so phenomenal. I can't wait to reach out to her. how can they find you?
Oh, well, Sam, it's been an honor coming on here and chatting with you. I am on Facebook and Instagram at Whole Bean Wellness. So that's WHOLEBEAN Wellness. So Instagram, Facebook. I also have a YouTube channel where, like I said, I help people who struggle making those choices to improve their health or to lose weight. So I share a lot of inspiration, motivation on there. And then if you want to talk with me, I do free consultations. So you head over to my website, it's wholebeanwellness.com, and you can just set up a free consultation with me. And I have a free guide on there on how to control your cravings. So that could be helpful too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jill. It has been an absolute blast having you on here. And again, everyone, focus on one small thing that can help improve your health so that you can attain your goals and achieve your new identity of someone who practices healthy habits.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you all in the next one.